Hi everybody, Melissa Klein here, and going through the next steps. This is where I left off with just sort of a ghostly tree kind of image, very spare, very nothing there. I'm wetting down the paper because I really want the colors to really flow. One of the things that's nice is because this is in India ink, is that it's not going anywhere. Like I'm using quite a bit of water here, but nothing is smearing or smudging or anything. And for some reason, that's something a lot of people don't know about India ink. Now, I'm going to be using a combination of India ink. This is colored ink, Dr. Martin's, P.H. Martin's colored inks, as well as some of those Kuretake watercolors. And there's sort of pros and cons to working like that because, like I said, even though these are colored India inks, they're still India inks in that they won't run once if I re-wet them. But whereas watercolors will. So that's just something to know, and especially when you do something like this where I'm going to be mixing these two. I'm still with the India inks right now, but just going forward, knowing that there's just sort of a little bit of a caveat. And that's just one of those things, like you can mix water-based mediums. That there with that dark blue, that's the Kuretake, and I absolutely adore that color. It's like my favorite color of the moment. I kind of rotate through various favorite colors, although this sort of midnight blue kind of makes a regular appearance in my life as a favorite. Um, yeah, and so, just know that if you're gonna work like that, then that's and who knows where you get those zones where right now, because everything's wet, it's willing to, the ink and the watercolor are mixing together. I'm using a mop brush, which is kind of a relatively new thing for me. It's one of those things where sometimes I have these brushes or whatever supplies that just kind of hang out forever, and then all of a sudden, for no real reason, I'm using them. What I'm doing with the mop brush sort of off camera too is I'm wiping it down, and now here I'm just using paper towel because I want to pick up some of that I'm liking. I don't want to quite lose that little spider web type effect I've got in there. And at this point, I'm kind of liking it, but I'm feeling like I want more density of color below, with that kind of fire-like thing, quality happening. And so I'm going to be getting into the Kuritakes. And actually, probably what's happening off camera is that my water bottle spray bottle is clogging or not working. So now Kuritakes. And I'm using a little bit of a round brush, over, not a little bit, a round brush, just to get a little bit more detail into there. And I want more of the fine point, whereas the mop brush really doesn't have, it's like it describes, it's a mop. It doesn't come to a fine point. Um, and, just kind of building up the layers. One thing that is nice, again, because, the ink is not going to be moving too much. It's going to kind of just sort of shine through that, which I do want. Although you can see how densely pigmented this Kuretake is, which is a nice thing. I really enjoy working with highly pigmented colors. Part of it is just because I'm a color junkie, and part of it is because you can always thin it if it's too intense with water, or there's other things you can use too. I pretty much almost always thin things with water rather than getting into other stuff. Life is complicated enough. But that said, that might be a cool thing to try out. And notice too, like, even though this painting there's a lot of elements that are very random and, look very random. There's actually a fair amount of, here I'm like making pretty conscious decisions about, do I want those sort of flames to be, in front of or behind that branch? How do I want that to behave in this moment? And, again, once I dab on the colors, it's going to flow, and especially right now, because this paper is not really well taped down, as you can see, so it's buckling a lot. And that's fine. I'm just, gone with it. I just kind of accept that as part of the deal when you're working this wet and this loose. It's going to take forever to dry. But that said, that's where I'm leaving it at the moment. This is when it's actually not even quite dry. And a zoom out effect. All right. Thank you so much for watching. It's more to come.